Hi, this is B from Sorcery Soap, and this week I want to show you how to make molds. So I have a couple rune molds that are runes that I want to make more molds of right here. So first of all, you have to get some silicone plastique. I got mine from Make Your Own Molds. I'll put a link in the description for you. And I actually talked to the owner, not because I'm particularly special, just because I happened to call the company because I had some questions about it. I was a little confused, and you know, I wanted to talk to him about some other ideas I had. Anyway, he's very nice, very friendly guy, and he created this two-part mold making material that makes molds. And here, you know, we talked about this, the bendability like this, that's called the durometer. And this is about what I like. I realized too pretty quickly, so this is a thicker version, which is fine, but I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to make these in quantity like I was thinking I could. Just would take up my whole life. So I'm not quite sure I want to be there yet, but I thought since I'd had a couple questions about the molds, and I thought I would answer those to the best of my ability. So first of all, you're going to need like a tiny little gram scale, because that's important. So what I figured out is take the object that you want to make a mold with and weigh that, and at least double that for this much. So we're 8.5 grams, so I'm going to say 9 or 18 grams, but I'll double check it for this, and that says it's 17 grams, and this one says it's 15 grams. So and then this part right here, I think it could be a little, I'm going to try 18 grams. Let's see, what did I say? 8, 9, yeah. I'll try 18, so that's 9 each. Let's try 16. That sounds like much more reasonable. So we'll do 8 of each piece. Okay. So, and you have to have equal parts, but this is kind of a dough making thing. So we want 8 of each piece, and that's 8.5, and this is how little the grams are. This is why, if you look at this, so this right here, this amount right here, when you're making soap dough and you think, oh, it's only that much, right? And I can just do that much. That's how much more oil, like say you're making a pound of soap dough, that's how much more oil is gonna need to be worked in through soap dough. So it doesn't seem like that much, but if you just were to take soap dough and add that much oil, it would be very sticky. So that's why it's important to measure correctly. So we want 16. Oops. Oops, just a little bit more. A little bit. All right, there we go. Okay, so then you take all this stuff and you mash it together. And this is food grade, by the way, so those are all very important questions. He was just a really nice guy and gave me lots of information. And I ended up getting pore silicone too. So that is, you know, here, I'll show you. This is a pore silicone. Oh, there's fur on there, or fuzz or something. Anyway, that, and see the durometer of that is just different. So, I mean, that's an option too. I've poured a couple of those. Here are the ones I poured. So, same thing. They're a little bit harder to do and make them all accurate. So that's how you have to get some material to stick this piece down so that when you pour it doesn't move, and it's just a little bit more futzy. Okay, so essentially you mix this up until you have a while to mix it up. It dries in about solid in about 4 hours, which is also very good. They call it curing as well for molds. Okay, so that looks like, yep, okay. So then you try to get it here without any creases in it. Okay. I'm going to use the X rune. And then what I do, because I like them a certain way, is I want it to be up against the sides and flat. So when I scrape it off, it'll be flat on the back. You can see how flat that is. So you have a little bit of time to do this. And there's probably better ways to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. So there you go. Now I'm gonna, let me see. See, that pulls up there. I'm gonna leave that in just like that and let it set. And you can see this one here kind of munged up the corners right there, the side. So I want it a little bit more uniform. I want them to look, because I'm going to use these quite a bit. So, and this might be the reason I wanted it, you know, it has more material on the outside, is because I wanted more material right here. And when you push it in, it kind of squirts out a little bit. So you can use this. See, this one's a little bit more uniform. I like this. But the other thing I want is to make sure is that the tops of these are flat. So let me show you. I'll move this out of the way. And what I mean by flat is so I just dusted with a little bit of cornstarch. So what I mean by flat is this. When I push this in, right, I want it to be flat like this on the top, on the back side. And now you can start to, maybe, even if you don't make molds for yourself, you can start to shop for molds differently so you can see what an ideal mold would look like. Because for soap dough, I mean, you don't want to have to fiddle with it too much as far as cleaning up, and so that's how that, without the little lint. But anyway, so you don't want to have to fiddle with it too much, you know what I mean, like cleaning up the edges and whatnot. So if it comes out of the mold a little bit nicer, like that, and if it's not, if it's rounded, wow, I just have a lot of fuzz here. Okay, if it's rounded on the edge, this is not my mold. I bought this mold, but this is how I'm shopping for it. So if you can see, this one's flat right here, and this one's rounded right here. I'll show you what that looks like too, so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. And the reason I use molds is because I can create some interesting soaps, and it saves me a lot of time, and I don't have to sit and make, you know, not everybody feels like fiddling around with a little frog sitting on a log with a little scorpion. Sometimes those are fun to make too, and sometimes you just want to get on with it, right? So here we go. Okay, so just there. Okay, so that's fine. That actually is very fine as far as making an impression. Well, you can also see that her face didn't come out very well, and that's because this part, but this one's actually a pretty decent mold as far as that goes, because I've made this before and it didn't come out. Okay, so I want to keep that inside. I want to keep that impression inside. Here. So I'll scrape off the back. Oop. See, I just moved it. See, that's partly because there isn't enough there to hold on to. It's an awkward mold, and I was trying to avoid this awkwardness of it all. But do you see how I'm scraping on the edge of that right there? I'll show you another good example, this mold here. Okay, so if I keep messing with it, I just moved it, I'm going to lose the impression of the face. So now I have to go around and clean the edges up a bit so it doesn't look so wonky. Or I could use a cookie cutter and cut those out. But then I'm back to not being very efficient with my time. So, okay, we'll leave that one. Now this guy. So the durometer of this is pretty soft, and which is the bendability of it, like that, the firmness. But it's wide enough that I can just scrape that off like that and keep it all inside and have a nice clean back to it. And then, of course, run around the outside of it so that it's a little bit more cleaned up. And then it comes out like that, which is quite nice, actually. That is a pretty nice mold. And all the little details are in there. So it has to be firm enough that that happens, but the flatness of it. So you can see how this one's, the back is all sort of wonky, and I'll have to futz with it and all that. So if this had been in here, I think I have one. So this is the same one, only silicone, except I didn't get all this off. So I'm going to have a lip on that. Let's see if I can get that off. So what also happened is I had to make polymer clay shape from this, which was, you know, kind of wonky, and then this ended up, this is why this has to stick, because it poured underneath when I poured it. So I also thought, you know, just because I don't want to make molds doesn't mean maybe you guys want to. I need to cut all that and trim it up, but maybe you guys or somebody else does, and then we'd have that, you know, like people are making scrapers and discs and things like that. So let me do one more and I'll show you. Get that over here. Is there a, no, okay. Okay. So it's a little bit more, you know, you can buy these push molds. You can see, just I showed you how that works, and this is how this turns out, just like this. So, I mean, there's good quality push molds and there's bad quality push molds, and you know, nobody makes push molds for, or any kind of real mold specifically for soap. So, I mean, that's kind of why I thought, well, that could be an interesting process. Maybe someday. So then you have to release it without smashing the other side. There. And her nose still got smashed. So some molds are, some things are not like, is easily transferable like this. Like this guy, he has a flat top and that came off all right. And there, okay. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit, and it helped to get you to understand what I'm looking at when I make molds. I have a ton of these, so we're gonna put those back, and these two. But anyway, I just thought that might help you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and talk to you later. Okay, bye.